we can see sometimes some people are walking on the other side of the streets or the roads without even checking if there are any cars coming or passing. So to be aware and to be in presence can also save you from a lot of troubles and accidents even, except that it can save a lot of hurting others. It can stop hurting others. Yes, Andrew, would you like to elaborate more?
Yeah, I suppose it's fundamental to always be aware of what you're thinking. I was just reading in Swamiji's text that everything starts with the thoughts and your thought patterns. So if you're not aware of what you're thinking, then it's very difficult for you to maintain the pure foundation that you need for your meditation practice. If you're not aware of even your basic mental state.
Yes, for example, there is a saying that listen to what you have to say before you say. Like, take a look what you want to say to filter it. And also it is very helpful when we speak to somebody to listen and to be aware of the speaking, and also to be aware of the lips and the movements of the body while the body is expressing itself. So in reality, it is a very nice spiritual practice, whatever the body-mind complex performs, to be under the full observation of awareness itself. Because the body-mind complex appears and disappears in awareness, in this ocean of awareness, together with all the apparent beings and all the apparent objects in the apparent universe. So we have awareness as an infinite substratum, which is modulating to infinite apparent beings, infinite apparent objects, and the infinite apparent universes. And the more we are aware of the functioning of the body-mind complex, the more we will be able to stop any mistakes or errors. And also we will not produce new bad karma, which is called papam, the bad karma, which will be of course, will fructify in the next janmas, in the next dream lifetimes. And also, while the prarabdha karma is exhausting itself, the current karma is exhausting itself, the destiny, we will be able to be detached. We will have vairagyam, detachment, dispassion. So the benefits are many, and especially for the process of self-realization. Presence is number one priority of spiritual practice, sadhana, 24/7, if possible. I don't know if you would like to elaborate more, Andrew.
And no, it's a common theme, but it's very difficult to do, to be aware of awareness itself. It's difficult to even for a few seconds to get that feeling that you're just awareness itself. I don't know, maybe you can talk about how that's to get that glimpse is even difficult.
Yes, it is very important to comprehend that we are not somebody who has awareness as a function or as an attribute, just like the common people believe that there is the universe, and there is a human couple making love, and then appears a being, and then this being is developing the nervous system, and then from the nervous system and the brain appears consciousness. For Advaita Vedanta and Sanatana Dharma in general, this is not the case. There is awareness, this infinite substratum, Brahman, whereupon everything appears and disappears as appearances. So, to be aware that you are awareness, it needs practice. It needs constant trying, because awareness it's not easy at all to be aware of itself. It's like you are watching a video or a movie in the cinema. And it is very difficult most of the times to remember that what you are is an observer and not somebody who is involved so much in the movie. So if there is a tragic moments in the movie, there is the tendency to become a lot of involved on this. And the same if it is a comedy or action. It is the same with all the modulations in the apparent universes. Whatever appears and disappears creates a veiling for awareness to become aware of itself. So it needs constant practice until the body-mind complex and Chitta Bhasa, the reflected consciousness, has gaining this momentum of this awareness to be aware of itself, not to have any pause, not to have any stopping, breaking. So the more you do it, the more you try to become aware that you are awareness, the more it develops itself, the more it creates a momentum. And that momentum will continue escalating more and more. So it may be difficult, let's say, in the next 1 month if you try it, but after 3 months, if you really try to keep this awareness aware of itself, it will escalate more and more and more and more. So gradually it will become easier and easier. And this will gain this domino effect. Whatever the body-mind complex performs, whether walking, eating, discussing with apparent others, working, whatever, this momentum will cover the entire day. But of course, in the beginning, when somebody hears about that, it becomes really not something easy. But upon practicing it, upon trying to keep this awareness aware of itself, it really becomes very powerful. And one day, it will appear one day where this effort, so-called effort in inverted commas, of course, will not be needed, because this awareness of being aware of itself will become like second nature, will become a permanent status. And this is what we call self-realization or liberation or enlightenment or moksha. It is none other than that, this permanent recognition and conviction that what I am is this infinite awareness, and everything appears and disappears in me, this substratum that I am. And then you can allow the body-mind complex to exhaust its prarabdha karma, but all the rest, people, apparent people, will say for you that you should be a jnani, you should be a self-realized one, an enlightened one, someone who got real liberation. But you will never believe that you are somebody who became an enlightened one, a jnani, or a self-liberated one. You will always have this permanent conviction and recognition that what I am and what I was and what there is only is that. Brahman awareness. I don't know if you like more elaboration on this.
Well, as you were talking, I was thinking about my so-called practice, and as you know, that I like the practice that we did in the meditation a couple of weeks ago, whereby you watch thoughts arise, abide, and dissolve. Now, say you do that for some time, and then you start to experience the gaps between the thoughts. Is the awareness you're talking about what the thoughts are arising in, and how do you tune into that awareness?
Look, when you say in, or the thoughts arising in, you are presupposing that there is in and out, that there is this me somehow imprisoned in the body-mind complex or in the skull, in the brain. And inside this space, so-called space, is the arising of the apparent thoughts. But the thoughts do not appear and disappear in the skull. Where do the thoughts appear and disappear? They do appear and disappear in this infinite substratum of consciousness. And you are this consciousness. So anytime thoughts do appear and disappear, they do appear and disappear in yourself. But yourself is not a body-mind complex, a person, or an individual entity, as it seems so. So the moment they do arise, you should be aware of the substratum and not focusing so much on the thoughts themselves. It's like you are watching the sky, and instead of focusing in the clouds that they are passing by, you are focusing and become one with the sky. Let's speak as a symbol like that. So, or we can use the example of the ocean and the waves. Instead of believing that you are a wave which has thoughts in itself, contained in itself as a wave, as an individual entity wave, you should see that you are not the wave, you are the ocean, and inside that ocean, they do appear waves, like modulations on yourself. But all these modulations on yourself, infinite substratum of the ocean of consciousness awareness, are not something else, and they do not have also inherent existence as themselves. They are just modulations of you, consciousness awareness. So the more you are able to recognize that and practice on that, the more you will be free from any attachment to the thoughts. And upon having this detachment on the thinking process, self-liberation also will come. Enlightenment also will appear, or moksha.
Okay, thank you very much.
Most welcome. Somebody else? So if there are no any thoughts, I see Malini wants to ask something. Yes, Malini, please.
It's not a question. I had a request. I was wondering if it will be possible for Andrew to share the text that we are reading for everyone's benefit, so everyone can still look at the view the text that's being read.
Yes, but the text is already announced that everybody can download it from Arsa Avina's platform. It is already there in Arsa Avina's platform under the category of Swami Paramarthananda books, and it is called Introduction to Advaita Vedanta, based on TATTVA BODHA. So everybody can go there in this platform and download it.
Yes, thank you.
Anybody else? So if there is no question, maybe Andrew can continue reading from Swamiji's teachings until there is a question.
Yes, whenever anybody has a question, just stop me. So we're continuing from the first chapter, page 10. Then comes the third human goal, which is known as Dharma Purushartha. Dharma Purushartha. And what do you mean by Dharma Purushartha? Dharma Purushartha can be defined as an invisible form of wealth. It is an invisible form of wealth, which we generally translate in English as good luck or good fortune. So that person was very lucky. That person has good fortune. I was lucky, I was fortunate, etc. When you use the word luck or fortune, it is not something that you see, but it seems to contribute to your well-being, either in the form of providing artha or in the form of providing karma. It seems to be an invisible form of wealth contributing to your well-being. That is why in Sanskrit it is called adrishtam. No doubt, I'm just skipping the Sanskrit bits. It is all invisible form of wealth which contributes. Now, this dharma can be acquired by appropriate means, and we are not going to discuss that now. The means I am not going to discuss, but it can be acquired by appropriate means. And since dharma or adrishtam or good luck is something, it is achievable through appropriate method. Dharma also becomes a human goal. It is translated as punyam. Dharma, punyam, adrishtam, good luck, good fortune. These are all synonyms. And this dharma contributes to our well-being in twofold ways. One is dharma contributes to our well-being in this very life itself by providing artha and karma. Therefore, dharma is very, very useful in this life because it also contributes to my well-being. In addition to my own effort, dharma also contributes. Then the second benefit of dharma is it also contributes in our next birth. It also contributes to our next birth, especially in the initial stages of life. If you study any birth, our own human birth, you will find that our initial 2 years are certainly not under our control. In fact, my initial 2 years happened to me, not after consulting with me, but I find they have happened to me. What type of parents I find myself with. I may think I would never have been happier if only my parents were a little bit different. But I was never asked for a choice. I find I have got such parents. And sometimes I've got only one parent. Sometimes the child is an orphan. The child is helpless with regard to parentage, with regard to environment, with regard to upbringing, whether it is a doted child or beaten child. So I find even though I am a human being, my initial stages of life are certainly not under my control. Then it is under whose control? It is supposed to be determined by Dharma. The Dharma that I acquire now will not only help me in this Janma, my Dharma will help me in the initial few years of my next Janma too, also. In what way? By providing good parentage, good environment, good food, good clothing, good shelter, good values, everything good in the next Janma. It is also contributed by what? This Dharma. So if a child's life is heavily determined by the invisible wealth called good luck, so a child's life is heavily determined by the invisible wealth called good luck. You call it good luck, we call it Dharma. And not only that, the initial few years of human life is so important that they can even determine the future adult life. Psychologists are discovering this more and more. They're saying that many of my emotional conditions during my adulthood is heavily determined by my childhood. My childhood heavily determines my physical health, my emotional health, even my intellectual health. And therefore, adult life is determined by childhood life, and childhood life I am not able to determine. How my parents will bring me up, I am not able to determine. So, if I want to control my childhood in the next Janma, it can be done through Dharma, Purushartha. Thus, Dharma directly influences my present life. Dharma influences my future childhood life, and Dharma indirectly affects my future adult life also. Thus, Dharma becomes extremely important. And there is an appropriate method of earning. I don't know whether you have heard this word, sambadhanam, means what? Earning. Not only we talk about earning the visible wealth, that is money, we also talk about earning the invisible wealth. Punya sambadhanam, it is called. He has earned it, we say. This is the third Purushartha. Anybody want to ask a question?
Okay, I would like to highlight something. When we speak about Dharma, it is this which is adding the happiness flavor to whatever we have in Artha and Kama. We can see a lot of people who may have a lot of wealth and a lot of desires covered, Kama, and a lot of possessions and so on and so forth, and a lot of glory or fame, and still they're not able to enjoy and to have deep peace and happiness and enjoy all this. So the factor which will make all this beneficial and to true happiness and enjoyment and fulfillment is Dharma. And that's why in Sanatana Dharma in general, and also in Advaita Vedanta in particular, Dharma is very, very important. A dharmic lifestyle, according to the Dharma Sastram. For example, accumulate wealth, but without misleading other people or your profession, or without using your power to influence people for your egotistic needs, for your selfish desires. So when you are doing your work, any work should be first of all beneficial for humanity and not a job which creates suffering to other beings or creates disbalance in the nature or to the entire ecosystem. For example, when you are wanting to enjoy a family life, you should remember that the family should be treated as prasadam, as a gift from God. And you should treat the family not like it is there to satisfy your selfish needs, for example. So your kids are not really your kids. They are kids of God, the entire system, the entire scheme of things. So the kids are not there to satisfy all your desires. If your desire, for example, are your kids to become doctors in order for you to be happy, then that is not a dharmic idea or concept. So the kids, the children, will have to exhaust their own prarabdha karma. And the same with your husband or your wife. They both, either wife or husband, have his or her own prarabdha karma, destiny. And they are not there, again, to satisfy all your selfish needs. And so on and so forth. If you have a career, this career should be benevolent, not only for yourself, but also for the entire scheme of things, for the entire nature, for the entire society. And that's why we have so much importance on the laws of Dharma, on the Dharma Sastram. For example, when you are leading a profession which is using bad products, and you sell bad products in order to have a good profit, and you are not interested for the well-being of other human beings, then you create what we call papam, very bad karma, which will fructify in the next lifetimes. And you will have to pay for that. You will have to have suffering for that. And so on and so forth. So artha and kama are okay to pursue, but only through the very important filter of Dharma. And then, of course, we have Dharma, Artha, Kama, and last, moksha. The first priority and the unique reason for existence is self-knowledge. It is not to satisfy your selfish needs, your egotistic desires. It is to know yourself, to know what you are. When you say I, what is this I? What is this self that you are speaking about yourself? What means that? Is it the body? Is it the mind? Is it the person? Is it the ego? What is that when you speak about I, myself? What is yourself really? What means that? So, and the greatest gift that you can give to humanity is, of course, your own self-realization. Because then you will be able to enjoy a beautiful life, a harmonious life, fulfilled life, and at the same time lead others to self-realization. Yes, Andrew, can you continue a little bit more reading?
Can I just say something from what you just said? Yeah. Yeah, this, the question, who am I, what am I? Even my very, very small experience, even if I have glimpses where I think, okay, I'm not my body, obviously, because the sense of self doesn't feel like a physical thing. It feels like a immaterial. And I say my body, I clearly think that I am a separate possessor. So when I think I'm not my body, I'm not my thoughts, because I can observe them. And I feel that, again, it's something that I'm the subject and the thoughts are the object. But still, even when I clearly see and even when I clearly see I'm not this person, the person is just a concept. It's just an idea. I must be doing something wrong, because there's still such a strong lingering sense of an individual, even when you spot all the things, the body, the mind, the thoughts that are meant to be you, and you think, well, that's not me. Somehow there's a strong sense of self. Is it because I'm not tuning into the sky enough? And
exactly, you believe you are a wave in the ocean instead of seeing that you are the water itself, the entire ocean. So it is not easy. It is not easy at all to bypass the self-belief system that you are a body-mind complex, a person, or an individual identity. It is very, very difficult because for millions, trillions of lifetimes, there is this false belief that I am a person, I'm an individual entity. So it is not easy at all. That's why we need all the factors according to the scriptures. We need a guru, we need a spiritual path, a legitimate holy lineage, scriptural study, sadhana, spiritual practice. We need a sravanam, listening to the teachings under the guidance of a competent teacher, study the teachings with him, then doing mananam, dealing with all our doubts and questions with the guru, and then doing finally nididhyasanam, the Vedantic meditation, where we can internalize the truth. Whatever somebody will miss from all these factors for moksha will lead to failure. All these factors are indispensable. If you do, for example, a alone study, if you watch some YouTube videos or reading some books about self-realization, or doing from time to time going to a retreat for self-realization, this will not do. It will lead only to confusion, ignorance, and darkness. So all the time, those who realized the truth, who became self-realized, enlightened, or a jnani, they had followed all these prerequisites. There is no other way. But of course, it is very, very difficult. And that's why everybody should use all these factors as are described in the scriptures. The individual identity is only a thought. It is only a vritti, aham vritti. The thought, I am the body-mind complex. The thought, I am somebody, an individual identity. It's only a cloud in the sky of consciousness. Only a thought which appears and disappears. Even every night in the deep sleep without dreams, this false idea that I am a human or a body-mind complex or a unique individual identity is completely not there. Every night in the deep sleep without dreams, the entire apparent universe, all the apparent beings and all the apparent objects and all these ideas about you being a person do not exist and are just disappearing in the deep sleep without dreams. Still, there is something there, in inverted commas, of course, something, which is aware of the blankness, of the non-appearing of the thinking process, of this complete non-activity, something is aware of that, and something is registering this non-activity, this blankness. And you may stand up in the morning and say to yourself, it was beautiful. I slept like a log of wood. Nothing was there. I enjoyed a very deep sleep. It was blankness. So something, in inverted commas, was aware and was registering this deep sleep, this blankness. This is Karana Sariram, the causal body, which is, of course, appears due to the infinite substratum of awareness. And we'll see these bodies later on, more detailed, in more details. Sukshma Sarira and all this, Karana Sariram. All this we will see later on. Because people believe that sometimes in some other paths, they even believe that they are the pranic body or the subtle body called Sukshma Sariram, or even Karana Sariram, the causal body. But all these, the wisdom of the Upanishads, Vedanta, and Adi Shankaracharya in particular, explaining very well in details what is the truth. We are not none of these bodies. These bodies are anatma, not atma. But later on, we will go into more details on this. Somebody else? Or Andrew, you can read a little bit more, and then we can do a small meditation, guided meditation.
Where's my book gone? Artha, Karma, Dharma, or otherwise called Dharma, Artha, Karma. Dharma means powerful, subtle form of wealth. We enumerate it first. So Dharma, Artha, Karma. And these three human goals have got many things in common. And since these three human goals have got many things in common, put together, they are known as Preya. Preya is one word which means Dharma plus Artha plus Karma. Sometimes it is called Moga. I will use the word Preya. Therefore, remember, Preya stands for all the human goals, either in the form of Dharma or Artha or Karma. Anything that you acquire is called Preya. Deliberately, legitimately, with planning, whatever you acquire is Preya. Now the question is, what is the fourth Purushartha or fourth human goal? The fourth human goal is called Moksha, otherwise called Mukti, otherwise called Shreya. Shreya I'll miss out that Sanskrit section. What do you mean by Moksha? Moksha can be translated as freedom. Moksha is freedom. Freedom from what? Is it political freedom? Is it economic freedom? It is an internal freedom, inner freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom from slavery with regard to prayer. Freedom from slavery with regard to prayer. Dharma, Artha, Karma, or all other accomplishment. In what way am I a slave of Dharma, Artha, Karma, or anything in the world? Any object in the world or person in the world enslaves me in two ways. One is, an object can enslave me by its very absence in my life. When that particular object or person is not there for me, if I feel a vacuum, if I feel an emptiness, if I feel worthless, then that object is capable of enslaving me because I am all the time obsessed with it. Obsession. And another person says, wife, nobody comes to marry me, So spouse binds you by her or his absence, and another person says, child, abhava. Therefore, a thing can bind me by its absence, by creating emptiness, enslaves me, and what happens? I miss him, I lack company, I lack friends, I lack money, and lack is one form of slavery. Otherwise, objects can bind me by their presence also. Swamiji, my problem is not with absence of spouse. Don't take it seriously. It is his presence that is the problem. That's the problem. Therefore, children, not absence, but their presence is the problem. Money, their absence is not a problem, but their presence is the problem. Therefore, things bind me by their presence, by creating a burden, strain, and by absence creates a vacuum. Presence creates strain and tension. So some objects create problems by their absence. Some objects create problems by their presence. Some create by both presence and absence. Problem. Anything, money, poverty is also problem. Richness is also problem. Go to ashram to gain peace of mind. One because of poverty and another because of prosperity. This slavery with regard to prayers or external goals is a bondage. Freedom from this slavery, otherwise called self-mastery. I am no more a dasa, I am a swami. That is an external swami. An external swami may also be a slave. He may be saying, ashramam, don't ask me, Swamiji, I don't get this bit. A lot of Sanskrit here, it doesn't make sense to me, so. I am Swami, that is an eternal. So Swami Thwam is an internal condition. And what does it mean? When things are absent, I don't feel a vacuum. When things are present, they are not burdensome to me. Like a shoe, when the shoe is absent, I can have a problem because it is hot. I get corns, I get hurt by stones, etc. And therefore I bought the shoe. Now the shoe is not fitting properly. The shoe bites, and therefore now I am disturbed by what? The presence of the shoe. Similarly, our life is all the things that I have. Before that, I have uncovered feet, and therefore I feel the emptiness. Now I have everything, and now I am burdened. I don't know how to handle them. If the shoe is fitting, then their presence is not felt at all. Therefore, moksha is, I am comfortable with things, dharma, artha, kama, and I am comfortable with dharma, artha, kama. This inner strength, this inner maturity, this inner mastery is called moksha, otherwise called shreya. The first three are only secondary purushartha, and the last one alone is the primary purushartha, because in prayas, slavery continues. I am no more a slave of anything. These are the chaturvida purushartha. I'm sorry if I made a few mistakes there. It's not, sometimes the translation is not perfect. That's the end of that section.
All right. So to try to gain moksha, gain, of course, in inverted commas, to realize the truth is the ultimate goal. But when you realize this goal, when you know the truth, when you have this permanent recognition and conviction that what you are is infinite awareness, Brahman, then you realize that you were never embodied in the first place. You realize that you have never been a somebody in the first place. So if there is nobody in the first place, who can gain moksha? Nobody, of course. But still, if you believe that you are somebody, if you believe that you are an individual entity, then you need a spiritual lineage, you need an external guru, you need spiritual practice, you need scriptural studies, Sravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, Sadhana, all this. until you realize with permanent recognition and conviction that I have never been a somebody, an individual identity. I'm always this infinite substratum, this infinite awareness Brahman. So this I wanted to highlight. So if there is no any question, we can do perhaps a small guided meditation.
A small question, Satchitananda.
Sure.
In deep sleep, we are in moksha.
No, there is no such thing as moksha in the first place. It may sound paradoxical to say that there is no moksha, but this is the truth. Until you have this permanent recognition and conviction that there is nobody in the first place and there is only Brahman, then of course we can suggest that there is something called moksha. But moksha really does not exist. There is no such thing as self-realization, enlightenment, or moksha. I'm sorry to say that, but that is the truth. But since you believe that you are somebody, an individual identity, then I can take you by the hand by hand, and accept that you believe you are somebody, and gradually guide you until the end, where you can see that in the first place, there is no somebody, there is no individual identity. And secondly, you are Nitya Mukta. You are eternally self-realized one because you are Brahman. There is only Brahman. There is only awareness consciousness. So seemingly, the scriptures admit your need of a spiritual path and your need for attaining moksha. But there is no such thing. There is no attaining moksha. There is no moksha. Why? Because there is no bondage in the first place. But in such introductory course, we can remain in the idea of moksha. We can remain on that concept. But in the deep sleep without dreams, there is no such thing as moksha. There is only karana sariram. There is only blankness, and there is only non-activity. There is no movements of thoughts. There are no vrittis. And that's why there is seemingly more peace, but not that this is moksha. Moksha, in general, we can call, as Swamiji mentioned previously, the non-slavery, the bypassing of the false belief system that I am an individual identity and that I need to gain enlightenment or moksha or self-realization. But our scriptures are talking that there is only Nitya Mukta. And what you are is always Nitya Mukta, eternally self-realized. But you cannot see it right now. If you cannot see it, then somebody needs to help you. And this is the apparent external guru, which is again your own self as consciousness awareness. Taking the shape of an external guru, taking the shape of a spiritual lineage, taking the shape of Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, Sadhana, scriptural study. But all these are just concepts. Eternally, you are Brahman. There is only Brahman. Only that. So who to gain moksha? But if it is too heavy, now we can remain in the concept of moksha. And gradually we can go on the truth, but step by step, baby steps.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. So if there is no other question, maybe to do a small guided meditation, what you say, or to close for tonight? What democracy?
I say meditation.
What about the apparent others? Okay, let's do a small one, a small guided meditation. And whoever feels that he needs to go, he can of course go. So take a comfortable position, posture, close your eyes. Become aware of the breathing. Become aware mostly of the pause between every inhalation and exhalation. If thoughts do appear, let them disappear by themselves without fighting with them, without rejecting them. See them as clouds in the sky, that they just covering just for a little bit the sun, and then just go by. Do not try to alternate by any means your breathing. Just breathe naturally. But become aware of its inhalation and exhalation, and give extra focus. Become extra aware of the pause between the next inhalation or after exhalation. Relax. Relax. There is no need to control anything at all. Just relax. Keep a comfortable posture in the body. If it is possible, just try to keep your spine erect, but without any tension at all. Enjoy the breathing like it is the first time you breathe. Become curious how it is to breathe, how it is to inhale or to exhale. Feel the air in the nostrils as you inhale. As you exhale, feel like you are expanding towards all directions infinitely. Become aware now of the small movements of your eyelids. Do not become aware anymore of the breathing. Become curious and aware of those small movements in the eyelids. Become aware of the sounds, possible sounds around. Alternate. First, become aware of the eyelids movements and then of any possible sounds. Alternate one to the other. Shifting the awareness that you are either in the eyelids movements or any possible sounds. Now try to locate, if it is possible, this awareness principle. Is it possible to locate awareness? Experiment. Try to locate it. Is the awareness imprisoned in the skull that you call my head or my body? Is the awareness somewhere? Does awareness start somewhere and finish somewhere? Stopping somewhere? Is there a beginning point of awareness and an ending point of awareness? Does awareness changing or remains always the same? Does awareness have any shape or form? Does awareness have a name? The name, for example, of the body-mind complex or the person? Does awareness need the name of the person that you believe you are? Does awareness have a gender? Or does awareness have the attribute of a human being? Does it have any attributes at all? Did awareness had a birth? If there is an automatic response, it had the birth, then what was aware of that birth? Aham Brahma Asmi. Aham Brahman Asmi. Aham Brahman Asmi. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. Brahman I am. I am awareness. I am that. Very slowly, start moving the physical body, but with full awareness. Become aware of the body as a moving field of awareness, or a space-like field of awareness. Become aware that awareness And the space-like field of the body is also awareness itself. Become aware as the body moves that there is not any distinction between awareness and the space-like field of the apparent physical body. Keep the eyes closed, as it is easier to recognize the space-like field of awareness of the body and awareness itself without any distinction. Now slowly open the eyes, staring in front, recognizing that awareness cannot be imprisoned in the skull or in the physical body. And when Malini is ready, can close for tonight with the chanting.
Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhar bhavet. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
So namaste to all.
Namaste. See you next week.
Yes.